Hello again, and welcome to the second installment of the Experience Design Week Speaker Spotlight Series. I'm Kendra Cooper, digital writer and editor for CCW Digital, and your host for today. Businesses are scrambling to provide a customer-centric experience. But what a lot of them don't realize is that it's not just about having a great contact center or providing omni-channel customer support. Your products and processes have to be centered around the end user, from concept to design to development. If they aren't, your customers will eventually switch to a competitor that better understands their needs, or even just a more user-friendly interface. This is why experience design can be a major differentiator. I have with me today Margot Dear, the Senior Director of User Experience for ADP's Compliance Solutions. ADP provides cloud-based solutions to help employers manage payroll, HR, and recruitment services. Margot, you work out of the ADP Innovation Center in Pasadena. Tell us about this hub of experimentation and prototyping and what you do there.
Hi, thanks. So I've been with ADP for over 3 years, and I joined when they opened up the Innovation Center in Pasadena, California. Actually, it was August 2015. And this is the second Innovation Center that ADP has opened in about the past 5 years. The thinking behind it was to attract new types of skills into the organization that would start thinking and driving different thinking across the company when it comes to creating experiences, products, and software for the end user with the end user in mind. So the investment in user experience was part of that wave, along with data scientists, strategists, development, new types of development and technologies that we're bringing into play, and then other really sort of more unique and specialized types of disciplines like anthropologists, and that type of thing, which helps shape the next generation of products for the organization, but with the user and the end user of the software at the heart.
Right. And this idea of, next-gen product development and even hiring anthropologists is really fascinating because, people wouldn't traditionally think that a company that deals with payroll and tax compliance would be so deeply invested in innovation. And yet ADP has grown its UX team from 40 people to 400 researchers and designers globally. I understand you were tasked with building the team at the center in Pasadena pretty much from scratch. So how did you decide on a vision for what this team would look like and then go about filling those seats?
When I was thinking about how I wanted to design a team, I was thinking about how can we be very efficient, yet at the same time achieve the goals of really, turning the interface or turning the software design experience around. One of the things that was really important to me was to get a set of product designers, software designers from the local area. So I went to the Pasadena Art Center where they have graduate programs in interaction design and product design, and wanted to start, creating a team where you had different levels of experience of designers that could mentor the more junior designers, but at the same time could really, bring this idea of a sort of a consumer experience into an enterprise software, and then challenge each other by kind of continually doing design reviews and critiques with their work, and then validating their work by running usability sessions with the actual end user, and then keeping some of these headcounts aside to bring in more strategic researchers, user experience researchers into the group who could really go into the field and go and study our customer when they're doing their job. That would help create, a body of research work that would not only feed into the design work that we immediately needed to adhere to, but at the same time build up a body of research that we can keep mining going into the future so that we can continually evolve and enhance the product. So that was sort of the framework that I wanted to put into place with the team.
I'm curious, though, you mentioned that there was, a somewhat disproportionate ratio of designers and researchers to developers. So I'm wondering if that means there was sort of a push and pull between the back end and the front end, usability versus internal operational efficiencies, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it is sort of a reality that not only do we have here, but if I talk to some of my peers in user experience, it will be a similar experience for them in their organizations. If that's your reality, what you have to do is you have to really partner with your product teams to understand, what is in the roadmap, what is coming down the pipeline, what are the projects and the efforts that you can make the biggest impact for the user, and where are there other areas where you can become more efficient and sort of build out systems and efficiencies in the way you work, so that when you're building out software, there's a lot of reuse, a lot of consistent UI patterns, a lot of things that are already built, so that your designers don't need to redo those elements. They just need to think about the new workflows and the new features that they're creating. I think the other thing that's really important, I guess, looking at the experience at that very horizontal level, how is somebody moving through the complexities of doing tax compliance when running a payroll, and how does this mean when they're hitting different features along the way, so that we're looking at that very objective viewpoint of the user. A lot of the time, you might be putting things in place that maybe will be technically implemented not at the first sprint. So realizing that you are able to make the evolution going towards the ultimate goal.
Right, and I love that you use the word evolution, because my next question was actually all about that. And of course you touched on the point, user-centered design, it's all about learning what outcomes your customers are trying to obtain. So I'm curious, what customer pain points were you looking to address when you first started at ADP, and how have these pain points evolved as you developed the product?
There was, and still is, a lot of, experience maps or journey maps being created, talking about what are the current pain points in the legacy software where the customers were experiencing pain, and then combined with not only the map making part of that journey, but looking at what were the sort of the verbatims that were coming through with our NPS research, what were some of the verbatims and some of the anecdotal conversations that were happening with our call center when they were speaking to customers, the account management. And then now, as we have started to evolve the product, we in the user experience team, we basically did a piece of research which we were able to baseline our product before we did a major release with major changes and impacts to the product design and the customer workflows. So because we have a baseline in place, and a baseline where we were gathering metrics around things like product satisfaction, time on task, perceived time on task, and the ultimate system satisfaction, we've been able to go back and look at analytics and look at gathering additional research and metrics with our customers every time we make a major change to compare those product improvements against the original baseline. It's kind of, this continual cycle of learning, but I think, you probably are going to never get it 100% the first time. So I think this is really important that everybody in the team is open to continually to listen to the user and then learn and adapt and pivot.
Definitely. And this continual cycle of learning is definitely a culture mindset thing And, I
Yeah.
understand that, when the first Innovation Center was established in New York in 2012, it marked a huge culture change for ADP, pushing for a more agile environment focused on the client experience, according to Mike Plonsky, the SVP of Product Development. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, what kind of role did you play in championing this new culture and getting UX and compliance to work cohesively?
You think about companies like Google or Facebook and, having this sort of open plan office design or, places where people are able to walk away from their desks and, play a video game or, a round of ping pong isn't really new in those types of office environments. But for a company like ADP, which is 70 years old next year, that's a definite mind shift, to kind of knock down all of those office cubicles and have everybody working in an open plan environment where you have VPs working alongside, junior developers in the table or the desk next door to them. It was a major shift for the organization. And I see what's happened since then, since Chelsea and since this office opened up here, is that you have some of the other bigger offices starting to make those changes in their own environment. In this environment, you have people who can solve problems in real time by walking over and talking to the project team or going into one of these huddle rooms in our space and just whiteboarding something out on the wall because you are trying to work out a problem or a system problem. And that, I think, has not only improved things from a work cultural point of view, but also it has provided us a way of becoming, a lot more nimble and a lot more agile. There's a lot less email. There's a lot of less noise that happens because I think the conversations are happening in real time. And we're sort of setting an example by just doing it, So it's been pretty interesting.
It's really interesting that human-centered approach has sort of translated into how the office feels when you walk in, how your day-to-day feels, and this mindset of constantly ideating and all this interactivity that goes along with it. It's not just about the approach to product development, but it's also about how people work together. So in an interview with UX Radio, you mentioned that one of your challenges was getting designers excited about tax and compliance. What was that like?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. How did you make the case to them?
Well, my attitude, and maybe it's because I've been hiring and managing creative teams in large enterprise organizations for most of my career, but my attitude when you are recruiting for talent, it's not just a one-way street. It's not just why do you want to work for this company. It's these are the things that this company and working in this team can also can provide for you as the creative person. Because I feel like when you're trying to recruit the talent, or in my mind, I'm like, especially in LA, wow, somebody could, I'm competing with, Disney over here, right? Like, do you want to work for tax compliance payroll or do you want to work for Mickey Mouse? And so I feel like I have to do a bit of a sales job on what a creative person can get from working in this organization. And it's fascinating to me because a lot of the designers that we've attracted to the team have been very much interested in the complexities of the tax compliance, the compliance part of creating enterprise payroll systems for the users. And I think it becomes a very meaty and interesting design challenge for a lot of designers. I think that we've managed to attract a set of talent into the team that really finds it quite fascinating as a big project. A lot of things that we're doing is really sort of pushing the envelope of what has traditionally been the approach to enterprise software design. trying to recruit, hot designers coming out of colleges, and you're in a job fair and you've got, Amazon Studios and Disney and Riot Games next to you, because those are the companies in the LA area. You're thinking, okay, I've got to make tax compliance look, it's got to hold its weight up to Mickey Mouse.
For sure. I'm curious, do you have an elevator pitch for that?
Maybe it's conscious or unconscious. I think enterprise user experience work is a really good thing to have in your portfolio or on your resume, because I think it really demonstrates to people that you understand the very complex systems and technologies that are needed, and it really, I think, helps evolve you from just the shallow layer of visual design or interaction design, but it really helps you become that deeper strategist, because you're looking at all of the systems for the whole service design industry. Yeah, so that's kind of my pitch.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can understand why, simplifying tax and compliance is more of a challenge for a designer than, designing UI UX for Disney. So I think that's a great pitch.
Yeah.
So you said before that, working as a UX designer, you often forget that you have to educate a lot of people, such as your boss's boss, your clients, about the value of UX and the return on investment. So to me, this kind of raises a chicken and egg question of who ultimately determines what the UX team should do. Does it come from management saying, oh, we have these pain points, or we need a boost in revenue, UX team, get on it? Or is it the UX team doing research and kind of escalating that to management and saying, this is what we found, this is what we would like to do?
I think they almost go hand in hand, because the business is always going to be thinking about the revenue and the bottom line, because that is their job. That is the thing that keeps all the lights on and keeps things running for the employees. So that will always be a priority. But I think what user experience can do, and what we do is all of that sort of a design thinking, strategic research, the deep research that we do with our customers. And so when we are, packaging up the research or the studies that we have, and we are presenting it out, I think people realize that a lot of the work that we can do is complementary to their thinking. How are we solving business problems through design? So I think a lot of the time they go hand in hand. And granted, a lot of the times the work that we're doing might just need to solve something immediate, like this needs just to work better. Mm-hmm. This is broken, and let's fix this. To this is a longer term strategic plan that this is something that we can build a vision that we can work towards over the next, say, 3 years. So there's sort of two sides of the coin. And I think for me, when I came on board about 3 years ago, that's why I really wanted the research that we conducted in the team to be that strategic, because I knew it would be something that we could build off of as a solid foundation, and that could help us not only build our reputation within the organization around, what does UX do and who are you guys, and, you're the creative, so, but what else can you do for me other than just make this pretty, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and so it's sort of kind of building up, I guess, the design maturity within the organization.
We'll be hearing from you at Experience Design Week in Denver, Colorado this February, where you'll be discussing ways to develop UX with data in mind. Can you give us a preview of one tip or tidbit that you're going to share with us at the event?
Yeah, I'm gonna share the frameworks that we put together here in this team a couple years ago, where we wanted to build out measurement or a way to measure the impact of the work that user experience was providing for the business. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how we got to the baseline, so how we did a baseline measurement, and how we were able to define our users' top tasks or jobs to be done. And then what were some of the metrics that we put in place to measure the user experience. And then also talk a little bit about what we've learned from that. And then what are we doing to continuing to evolve it? And then how this work is being consumed across the organization. You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. No, that sounds very actionable and hands-on. I love it. So just one last question before we wrap up. As you know, user experience is such a new domain, and people outside of the industry don't really understand it. So what is one question about your job that you get asked the most at cocktail parties or when you go home for the holidays? Here's your chance to dispel a common myth about UX.
I think, you know, a lot of my friends who aren't in this industry think that user experience sounds comical when it's a job title on a business card, you know, or, you know, I feel like I'm forever trying to explain it to my mother what it means. But I think the myth around UX is that it's not just a start and stop with the actual surface layer of the design. It's a lot. Well, not to sound like a cliche, but it's deeper than that, and it's broader than that. A lot of what we can bring to the table is helping, I guess, marry the behavior of the user with your business insights and the business strategies to help round out a direction. So it's more than just, say, the actual software or the product, but it can be really beneficial and influential to decisions that you're making or strategy decisions that you're making for the organization. That's it. And that's when everybody falls asleep or walks away from you at the cocktail party.
Oh. Well, Margot, thank you.
Maybe that's why designers just hang out with each other.
Well, Margot, thank you so much for offering your insights. We're really excited to see you at Experience Design Week at the Oxford Hotel in Denver, Colorado this February. Thank you again. And
You're welcome. Thank you.